Welcome to the show, Dr. Wentworth. I'm so honored to have you. I have been following you and known you for a couple years now, but I'm just really honored to have you on the show. I think what you are doing is so courageous and brave, and it's a change, right? It took courage. So I'm excited for people to kind of hear and meet you today. And so, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you went from, okay, I'm a doctor, I do this thing, I take care of patients too, you know, I have something a little bit more to offer, and I think that I want to go about this a different way, and it's going to take courage and to do that. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Sasha. It is a common thing as we finish medical school, or at least it was when I finished in 2004 and then finished my radiation oncology residency in 2009, to think that we are going to have the same job forever. I was going to find my dream practice. I was going to be a part of that for 20 years. And we were just going to ride off in the sunset together. And we came out of residency right in the middle of financial crisis, and so the the community of medicine was different and the practice of medicine was changing. And so I was in private practice working 60, 70 hours a week, and I just thought that every choice that I made when presented with a challenge was moving towards this goal that I had, which is to be a part of a practice for 20 years. And I don't know where that goal came from or how that got put in my head. I had wonderful mentors and very creative people, but I was not listening to, hey, this might not be a good fit for you. And so every time I was presented with a challenge, I just made the choice to try to overcome that challenge. And eventually I realized that this was not the right place for me and went through a transition and back into academia, where I got to live the dream. I got to build a wonderful cancer survivorship program. I was given all the money and a space and support, and handed over just the keys to the kingdom, and had the best experience I could ever have. And then as I built that program and it became more successful, I was starting to get pushback. And I couldn't figure out, I was wildly successful. Everyone loved the program. The patients loved it. The staff loved it. It was a huge satisfier. And I was sort of at a crisis point, like, why isn't the same thing working? I couldn't outwork the challenges. I couldn't
Mm.
figure out the challenges that were being presented to me. And I remember listening to an episode of your podcast in season 2, and I realized what I was doing was free labor, and I was asking for more. So I had built a survivorship program on a half day a week of protected time and no dedicated staff. And I was supervising 6 APPs, running a 5-day a week survivorship clinic and growing and building. And we were getting ready to take that clinic, or we were getting ready to take the model system wide to a larger health system. And so when I approached people and said, hey, I would like to value this work, they all looked at me and said, well, you're not worth it. You're too expensive as a physician to run this program. We can find someone cheaper. We can do this work. Thanks, but no thanks. We need you in producing in the clinic. And
Mhm.
that was so devastating to me. It wasn't that overt, but that was the message. And I remember, I don't know how or why, but I remember listening to your podcast and saying, like, what are you going to give up, or what are you giving up to do the work that you're doing? And if you're doing the work for free, no one's valuing it, or people aren't valuing it.
Mhm.
Am I
Yes.
paraphrasing
Yes.
that correct?
Yes. And it's so hard, isn't it, to, when you come to the reality of that's what's happening. And oftentimes we don't get there until exactly what happened to you, until you ask for your value, until you ask for more, until you have, like, okay, I need this to do this. And then you realize, like, the reason that everyone loves me in this institution or this program or this place is because I've been killing myself and doing it for nothing. They haven't had to get, there's no risk on their side. There's only, I'm assuming, all the risk and all the effort and all the time and quite frankly, the money, because you could have been using that time to make more money and be more profitable for yourself even. But when you oftentimes we don't want to face that reality. We don't want to think it's true because we want to think the best of people, and that, oh, someone's going to notice how hard I'm working and what I've built, and I've won all these awards in the institution, and they're going to like give me what I need because of what I've sacrificed. But rarely is that the case. And when that reality hits us, it can be so devastating. And yesterday I was just coaching someone who had this reality because of a conversation and an ask that they were rejected after years of just giving themselves away. And she was so devastated yesterday when we were coaching, and she told me what the response was from her boss. And I told her, right now, this is so painful, but there's going to come a time where you're like, I'm really glad that he said the truth, that I don't, and told me essentially, you're not valued, so that you can waste giving your time. You can stop wasting your time and energy on this project, person, institution that doesn't value you. But right now it's like so raw. So how did you transition that? What did you do? Tell the person out there who's listening, who's going through this, like, what was the next thing that you did? Because I'm sure in one day you didn't just wake up and go, well, I'm just going to transition and do this other thing.
No, I'm a 2x4 person. It takes a lot of signals for me to get the message. So I had also made promises to my team, and that was really hard. And I'd made public promises to patients, and I really believed in this program. I
Mm.
saw the benefit. We were just getting started with some of our data and integrating patient reported outcomes and integrating with our health services PhDs. We were just really on the cusp of something great. And it took, actually, my mentor and I were getting ready to present to the board of a large health organization. And he had sort of parked me at a satellite clinic and said, just hang out here and we're going to launch you. And this is going to be a new position. We're going to put you in charge of everything. And this had been my mentor since I was a medical student. So we had a
Oh, wow.
20-year relationship and a best friend. And he died on Father's Day, and we were supposed to present to the board on that Monday.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a sudden death, and it was absolutely devastating. So my future completely disintegrated at that moment into this role, because now there was, and I hate to say it, an older white male who they chose to put in this role instead.
Wow.
And that was really hard. But still, don't worry. Still, I thought, I can make this work. I can.
Yeah. I'm only laughing because this is me. I have done this so many times. Yep.
Looking back, you're like, hello, what are you doing? The signs, read the sign. I'm like, what are these papers in front of my face? Let me get out of here. Why do you
I know.
keep messing with
I
me?
know. Or how many times can I be rejected and I
Yeah.
just keep being loyal? Like, yeah, I know.
Being loyal, and just, we are trained to overcome challenges. If
Yes.
we stopped at every challenge in our path, we never would have made it through medical school and to the point in
Correct.
our careers where we were. And just problem solving around it. We live on a farm, and I have a cattle dog, and I watch her like solve problems on the farm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. I have cattle dog energy. I'm like, let me just get the sheep moving this way and it'll all work out. Incorrect, by the way, incorrect. Sometimes those sheep are not moving
I
where you
love
want them
cattle
to.
dog energy. I'm going to use that. I'm stealing that. I'm going to give you a shout out when I use it though.
Please do. Yeah. And my husband will also say I have gold star energy. He's like, if you put a gold star or a medal in front of you, like, you will do anything. And I was getting so many accolades for this program.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed to say that about myself, but
No,
it's so
it's true.
true.
And that's why there's so many women who become martyrs and
Oh, yeah.
brag about it because it hits your ego. Like when people need you or say like, "Oh, we have to call you even though you're not on call because only you can do this," or
Yes.
"Oh, we really need you. We know that this isn't your job anymore, but you've just done it so many years and you're so good at it." It feeds our ego, and then we just get this ego hit, but then we end up being burned out, underpaid, underappreciated. And then at some point we go, why are we doing this? Like, what is happening? Right?
Yes. Yes. And that's where I had a meeting with the person that was going to take over this program, and he said, what we really need you to do is just not raise a stink. We just need you to do this program and accept what is going on. He's like, you just don't want any ruffling feathers right now. It's going to be a period of transition. And oh, by the way, could you email me all the stuff you've been doing, because I'm
So
now.
I can take credit for it. And I can just use your blueprint to run the program. Thank you, Dr. Wentworth.
And I did it.
Oh, Stacy, I know. I've been there. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because this is what we do as women. And we think like, well, it's the right thing to do, right? Or it's we got to, toe the party line or be a team player. And yet, this is what happens in the unspoken halls and the unspoken rooms of academia, of institutions, of private practice too, where women build things, they pour their heart and soul into something, and then the title, the promotion, and the leadership goes to a man. And then that man says, oh, but you're going to be my right hand, right? AKA, I'm going to take everything you've done and put it as if I have done it. And I've even had, this is what's crazy, Stacy. I have had so many women leaders who I have gone to when I was junior, younger, middle career, even who say, just let him have the credit and you can do it. Just give your boss the credit or this person the credit and they'll let you do it. I mean, don't you just really want to do it? Why don't you just do it, but give them the credit? And I'm just thinking to myself, what man on the planet has ever been told that advice? Zero. Like no man ever tells another man, well, the bottom line is you just want to run the program. So just run the program, but give all the credit to this dude who's going to have to give you permission to run the program. And still I have women telling me that still today in 2025. And I used to go, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea because I need to just be a good person and get the program done. And now I go, that is unethical. That is actually unethical that you are proposing that I do all the work and give all of the credit to someone who has done zero of the work. If this was a publication, that would flag an unethical behavior in academia. How is this any different? It's not.
Correct. And I think, at least my experience is that in medical school, our motto was pro humanitate. We were told, if you do the right thing for the patient, you'll never be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is, and so I think the leverage, this was the right
Yes.
thing for patients. It
Right.
is so difficult to know that you can help. And I don't think anybody does it. I have not run into people that are doing this maliciously. I've been very fortunate in my career, but I think that people just rely on physicians in general and female physicians in particular to, quote, just as you were saying, do the right thing
Yep.
and to put the patient first. And if
Yes.
that is the penultimate goal and there's no consideration for the other stakeholders in this program, then who can argue with that? You can't argue with doing the right thing for the patient if
Correct.
that is where all of the energy and all of the focus is.
Yep.
So after this, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear
So
more.
yes, it literally took my mentor dying for me to make a change and my career sort of falling into a heap. And I really was hooked up with a wonderful therapist through our employee assistance program. And I cannot recommend employee assistance programs enough. Physicians, reach out. That is what I would say is you are not alone. You are not crazy. Reach out to the resources that are available for you. And I got hooked up with a wonderful counselor who only sees physicians. And we started doing some internal family systems work. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it was wonderful. And after we sort of got through the trauma and the discussion about grief and losing this big chunk of who I was and what my future was going to look like, she said, Stacy, what if you like closed your eyes and thought about who has been driving the bus in your brain?
Mm,
And I realized the person was the high achiever, the
mm,
scientist, and the problem solver. And
mm.
she said, who else is back there who would like to take a chance? who else would like take a chance at the wheel? And I was like, well, there's no one. I mean, she's the best driver. Look at all the things that we've done together. How could I ever let anyone else take over? She said, who's a quiet kid in the back? So we did this visualization, and there was a creative person back there who I had left behind in college.
Mm.
And all the accolades, all of the success, and all of the chest of my bus driver, of the high achieving scientist, was so filled that she didn't even think about who else was back there to contribute. And so it was really doing this work. And she said, what if you started writing? And I had gotten really obsessed during the pandemic. I'm not a cook, so I didn't do the sourdough starter and all of that. Like, that is not me. But I really got obsessed with this scientist and surgeon named Bernard Fisher, who worked at the University of Pittsburgh and really ushered in the modern era of breast cancer treatment. And I started writing about him and researching him and dove into this. I realized his biography had never been written, and he's the reason we don't have radical mastectomies performed on women without their consent anymore. He's the reason we do chemotherapy for breast cancer, lumpectomy versus mastectomy. I mean, he was one of the first people to document that cancer was a systemic disease, like just an amazing scientist. And I hired a team approached a team of NPR producers that were out of work because it was COVID and said, I really want to do a documentary on this. Would you guys help me do like a serial podcast? And they were like, sure. And Sasha, can I tell you the energy of working with creative people? I went into our first meeting and it was 20 minutes scheduled, and we went on for an hour and a half. And they were just spitballing and, oh, that's such a great idea. And what about this? And, oh, I love that. Let's play that again and think about it. And it was so different than the meetings I had been in, which is like, what are our goals? What are the deliverables? What do we need to get done? What are our
Right.
metrics? Where are we? And I just love that creative experience. So that sort of was my introduction to this. And it was so fulfilling. My husband came, and it's always the people that are closest to us, right? And my husband was like, you love this. You're
Mm.
so happy. This is the happiest I've seen you. He's like, do you remember when you used to bring home like 20 paper charts and you'd be sitting on the living room couch all weekend dictating and billing and closing out charts? We never saw you. It's so
Mm.
wonderful to have you home.
Wow. Wow. That was a moment. Like, and I love that he said that to you and came at it from that perspective, because it probably made you, like, gave you permission to, and affirmed what you were feeling inside. Like, what an amazing partner to see you thriving or having joy and point it out to you in such a loving manner that wasn't like, well, what are you doing now? What's this going to be about? Is this, are we going to, you're not going to work as much. Is that going to affect our finances? And, or like, well, at least now you're around more. Like, that is such an amazing way that he saw that. And sometimes it takes other people to see us and reflect what we're feeling, that people closest to us who love us. I mean, that's just such a, and I want to be that person for others too. Can I just say, like, there's been times in my life when I've, sat my friends down and said, you guys, I got to make a change. I'm miserable. And they go, yeah, we know.
Yes.
We've been watching
Yes.
you be miserable for 2 years. Like, you think you're hiding it and you're not. Make a change, Sasha.
Many friends were like, I didn't want to. It was sort of like when we were going live with Epic. I don't know if everybody's been through that, but when your friends wouldn't answer the phone and they were like, oh gosh, I just cannot hear about this again. And my friends were like, you have been miserable for so long. It's so good to have you excited about something again. Move towards that.
Yes.
And I think so much of what we're conditioned to do in medicine is to not look for the joy and not be in touch with, and that sounds very woo woo for a physics engineering brain like mine, but to be in touch with how is my body feeling? Am I tense? Am I
Mhm.
feeling
Yes.
joy? Like, what
Yes.
do I move towards when I have a moment to
Yeah.
just think about something? I'm sure, like you starting your
Yes.
business,
Yes.
think
Yeah.
about what brings you joy. What can you not wait to get up
Yep.
get up and work on in a weekend, you know?
Well, and it's sometimes we overthink it so much. Like I know so many women physicians who I coach that feel stuck. And they don't come to me when things are going great, right? They come to me when they're like, my life is falling apart. I'm falling apart. I don't even like what I do, but I'm so successful at it. I don't know how to not do it anymore. And I don't even know what I want to do. And I always just say, start with the question, follow the joy. Like ask yourself, what brings you joy and follow that, because sometimes we don't actually need a totally new job. We just need less of that job. Like, I mean, you just need to do it less and do something else that brings you joy. Sometimes it's just implementing a hobby. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm miserable, I have to change my whole life and I get a new partner and get a new job and get and move. It may feel that way, but sometimes it's like, oh, maybe I'm burning out because I'm working 120 hours a week. And if I worked 50 or 60 hours a week, or maybe 40 hours a week,
Crazy.
I could go do this cool thing that I've always wanted to learn. And now all of a sudden I like my job again because I'm just doing it half the amount that I was doing it before. Or I'm not doing things that I wasn't getting paid to do.
And you know what? That is not going to be on our tombstone. She only worked 40 hours a week. Like, people are not going to be like spitting and
Yeah.
throwing tomatoes at our tombstone.
Yeah.
I realized I was putting together my promotion packet to, go through and before I left academia. And I got on this call and they were going through like how you have to document everything. You've been through this,
Yeah.
you're a
Yes.
professor. And I raised my hand at the end and I was sort of vaguely listening and I was like, this is a lot, but I do have all this documentation, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what do we get? Like, if we become assistant professor, like, is there a jump in salary? And he's like,
Yeah.
well, no,
Yeah.
no.
You don't. You just get the title.
I was like, I mean, I stopped and this is a call of like 100 people on it. And I was like, wait a second. Let me just get this straight. All that's going to be is a different title. He's like, well, sometimes your department chair will give you like a $2,000 bonus or something. And I'm like, what?
I know.
So
For
that was,
years of work and publications and presentations and research and grants and all the things you do, I know it's bananas.
I was very, so that again, looking, and I will say again, your Brave Boundaries book is also listening to those boundaries. It's people's reaction to those boundaries that's so important. So when
Mm,
you say, I want to work less shifts, I want to cover less, what do people say? And then how do you feel when you
yeah.
set that boundary? And that's when I was looking for my next job because I love taking care of patients. But I also knew myself well enough that I had to put boundaries. Again, the cattle dog energy. Like, I'm like, let me build a program, let me help patients. Like, where is there something? I'm always looking around for a project. And my husband was very clear that if I took this job and I was only going to be working part time, that he was not going to be the project. He's like, you need to turn that somewhere else that is not me. Because can I like make some changes there, And so I had to put boundaries around myself to say, I'm only going to work 2 days a week. I'm going to only treat this disease site. And I am going to go to a different health system. And I am just going to be really clear about this
Mm,
is what I do and this is what I don't do. So I have no administrative responsibilities. I go in, I treat patients, I have a wonderful clinic day. But I can tell you, those first few days, people wanted to, and I'm sort of on a locums model where I just get paid per diem.
mhm.
And I can tell you that people wanted to call me on my off days and they
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to give me a
Oh, sure.
laptop,
Sure. Yeah.
but nobody was paying me for call.
Right.
And
Right.
I had to actually meet with my counselor and say, I am not going to return these pages on my off days. Does that sound okay to you? And
Yeah.
she was like, well, is somebody paying you to answer that? I was
Yeah.
like, no, this is my writing time. So that's when I really. And it was so hard because I felt like, oh my gosh, people aren't going to like me. They're going to think that I'm not available. They're going to say she's a bad doctor because I've always been available. But I will
Mhm.
tell you, Sasha, slowly people just said, we're not going to page her. She's not available. She's not going to answer.
Mm.
And I left my phone down when I was writing and I was working on my
It
book
works,
and it
right?
works.
Yes, it
Yeah.
works. And you didn't get fired the next day. Like when you I have to explain this all the time to, my clients, because it's there's a fear of backlash. And sometimes you are going to get backlash, but it doesn't mean that the boundary you set is wrong. It just means you really, really needed to set the boundary. It's like evidence that you needed the boundary, especially when people react strongly and do give you backlash. It's like, oh, I definitely needed to set that boundary. But I would love to hear. So you left full time academic medicine, you started this part time work, which opened up a whole time and energy and focus for you to become a writer and to write. And so tell us about that. Tell us what you're doing now in this passion, which, I mean, I say this to you and your whole face lights up, which I love. Like, I love how you get so excited about it, because that's that joy. You're following your joy. So tell us about that.
Yes, so we started the podcast and we were nominated for a Webby Award, which
Oh my
was
gosh.
absolutely
Amazing.
amazing. Yes, we're
We
up
will
against.
link this to everybody listening. We're going to link all of this in the show notes so you can find what she created and you can listen and give her a shout out.
Oh, thank you. It was so fun. Just listen to it because it's so fun. And I would encourage people to just listen to it with joy because it's also a story of women and empowerment and how we had no voice and then we had a voice and the people
Mm,
that helped make that happen. And so I started with that. And then there was a lot of interest in the podcast. We were nominated for a Webby Award. We were on NPR. It just sort of took on a life of its own. And the joy that I saw also in the co creators, in these people that were storytellers, was so gratifying as well. And I started to think about, okay, now I really need to write this story. And I took 6 months off from work, didn't accept any assignments, and just worked on the book and the book proposal and have gotten an agent. And you know how hard it is to write a book. It is very difficult.
to get an agent. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
And yeah, so the book is out on to editors right now. And I will say, as a scientist, I mean, I'm almost 50, and it has been a while since I have been rejected for something that I've applied to. But getting the rejections from the book
It's
is
harsh, isn't it?
there is nothing that can slice you like a
No.
25-year-old English major. I will tell you
Yes.
that.
Yes, I know. And it's crazy because the rejection, so people listening may not know this, but when you submit a book proposal, the first thing that you get are all the rejections in like the first like 48 to 72 hours. You get so many rejections.
Yes.
And it's like you're so excited. You've worked so hard on this and you've spent hours and maybe a year, put the average it takes a year to write a book proposal, not even to write the book. And you give your very best, like it's like the shiniest, most beautiful thing you could produce. And then you submit it. And within 72 hours, you just start getting no, 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 no. And you're like, are you kidding me? I just literally gave up every night, weekend, Saturday morning, blood, sweat, and tears for this. And I just got rejected by all these people. It is so harsh. It's much harsher than getting rejected for a paper. Like it is like another level of rejection. You just reminded me of that. I'm having some PTSD.
I'm
But
so sorry. I'm so sorry, but yes, I'm in the
there's
yes.
going to be a yes, Stacy.
Yes.
There's going to be one
Yes.
yes. And I actually use this. I have a slide in one of my lectures I give on failure and it shows all my rejections and the one yes, because all you need is one yes. And you're going to get one yes. And that yet, because you got all the no's, that yes is going to be so much better. I promise.
Thank you. Yeah. So we're excited about that. And as a side project to this, I loved writing so much. And Substack had just been introduced as a platform for blogging, basically. And I really wanted to stay connected to my cancer survivorship community. And I found that I was having the same conversation over and over. Like I thought this was cancer, but then it's totally different when I'm in
Mm-hmm.
it, and to continue having that conversation. And so I write a weekly Substack. It's non-paywalled or anything like that. It's just for me.
I
And
love
that
that.
comes out every Monday. And I just love that creative part of learning and telling stories and watching people connect with each other through the stories and learning about how brave people are and
Mm,
how they didn't know this history of how we came to cancer. So many, especially I treat a lot of breast cancer, and so many of my female patients will say, I don't feel like I belong in medicine, or they're having a
mm.
problem with like these structural problems. I'm like, well, it wasn't built for you. Medicine was made by men for men. That's why you're
Yeah.
feeling like
Yes.
you don't, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes. I have a friend, one of my best friends from college is going through stage 3 breast cancer right now. And she is really struggling because she is very much a kind of naturalistic person. And she's like, I know they're treating my breast cancer, but I feel horrible. Like my whole body feels horrible. My gastrointestinal system feels horrible. My respiratory system. And I asked my cancer doctor, like, how can I have more feeling? What should I be eating or what? And they just look at me like I have 10 heads. She's like, why can't they treat my whole body? My whole body is being affected by this. And all they want to talk about is like my radiation or my chemo or my pills or my white blood cells. And she's like, I feel horrible. Like I know that there's probably things I should be eating or I should be doing exercising or something. And I'm like, she's like, and I'm like, here I am an anesthesiologist. I'm like, well, can I give you propofol? Like, I don't know. I'm no better. I don't know what to tell you to do. But okay, I love the storytelling aspect of what you're doing and how this has really been so successful is that storytelling. And I know that you have said that you attended a Brave Enough conference, which kind of led to and confirmed your decision to produce this docu-series. And, you know, the Brave Enough conference, I think, is so special because I try to get women in the room who are going to foster that storytelling and who are real and who have gone through something and or who have figured something out and they have a story to tell us that will open up stories around the table, right? Like that's the whole premise of this. And so share, the Brave Enough conference is coming up in September. I keep talking about it. There's so many people who have never been, never want or want to go, but never, there's like a fear of going, which is interesting because I think when there's all women, for some reason, it's like scary to go to an all women's conference. Like you would go to like a medical oncology conference or like a radiation oncology conference by yourself and be not think anything of it. But going to an all women's conference by yourself, it's just, there's some limiting beliefs. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I will say that I am not typically a joiner, so I would not be the target audience. Like I am an extrovert and I can do that definitely in doing my job, but I have a very close set of friends I really enjoy and I'd really rather spend time on my farm with my horses and my husband and everything wonderful that we do. Um, but I do think that there's something to giving women and giving physicians permission to change the story. So we started at the age of 18 or 22 or whenever we started school and medicine and down this path. And that is the story that we had to believe in to get through all of the very difficult things that it took to get to where we are. And especially with people that have accomplished a lot in their professional life. And what I think is important is for us to change our own story. And just like you're saying, being able to see women and watching you're the one that told me these stories that they're listening to you and reading your book is there's stories that are being told about you that you may not even know.
Mm.
And so first to change the story that we have of ourselves, and sometimes we need permission to do that by seeing somebody else do it. And I think that is what is helpful about being in community with people that are making different choices because sometimes
Mhm.
you're just surrounded, especially in medicine, by all the extractive nature, especially of academic medicine,
Mhm.
is how much can you give up to achieve this goal? And there's not the structural support sometimes, especially for women, to
Right.
achieve those goals. But I mean, you go to Brave Enough, you hear one Cy Wakeman talk, and you're like, I'm in. I'm in. Whatever that lady says, I will follow her.
She's
She's wonderful.
phenomenal. I love her so much. She's just the gift that keeps on giving. She just always teaches me something every time I'm with her. Okay, this has been such an amazing discussion. You and I could talk for an hour. It has gone so fast. For the people listening, I want you to share where can they follow you on Substack? How can they read your blogs? Tell us about the docu-series, where they can find all the info.
Sure. So definitely reach out on LinkedIn. I have really been impressed by the professional audience and the community that I built on LinkedIn. So I'm just Stacy Wentworth, MD on LinkedIn. And then my Substack is cancerculture.substack.com. And the podcast, which is 6 episodes, it's really fun. They're about a half an hour each. It's called Less Radical, and you can find it on any podcast app.
That's amazing. Thank you for being so courageous and brave to come on here and share how you made this transition and how you it came out of such a traumatic thing, and you've turned it into something so amazing for others to learn and to follow and to find joy. And just by sharing your story, someone is going to be listening and think, okay, I got to stop working for free. I got to follow the joy. I got to be brave. And I just can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing all of that. It's what an amazing discussion. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.